When I was younger, shortly after I received my driver's license, my brother and my friend and I drove to the mountains to go skiing. And on our way back from skiing, I just got off of the Highway 1 and I'm heading towards Cochrane, and I got pulled over by a police officer. Now we have skis on the top of the car, and so the police officer starts to talk about the day of skiing, and I thought at this point in time that I was going to get let off. But no, sure enough, a few minutes later, I received a little pink slip. And even though the police officer had the authority in the situation, ultimately what he was really doing was his job. You know, each of us probably has some level of authority wherever we are, in our family, in our workplace, in society. But we use the authority that we have not for our own benefit, but ultimately for the benefit of others. You know, in the first reading, Moses speaks about a prophet, but he first is the prophet who's going to announce this upcoming prophet. And Moses was the one that gave the law to the people, and he's also the one that delivered them from their slavery in Egypt. And so he has a lot of authority, but he uses authority for the benefit of the other people. But he speaks about this prophet who will be chosen by God. God will put words in this prophet's mouth, and also this prophet will do what God commands. Now, each prophet in the Old Testament fulfills this prophecy, but Jesus is the par excellence prophet, and we recognize this in our gospel reading. Now, in the gospel reading, Jesus shows authority by the words that he's preaching. Now, but first, you know, he's given the authority to preach in the synagogue. So just to refresh ourselves, you know, the temple was a place of worship and sacrifice. And the synagogue was a place where about 10 families would gather, more as a teaching institution. So Jesus obviously has enough authority that he's been asked to preach. But he doesn't draw from any other scholar or any other scribe or Moses or anyone else. It's all coming from the Father through the Spirit. So Jesus fulfills what Moses had spoken about, but he uses his authority to build people up. You know, oftentimes the scribes and the Pharisees made religion into a burden. They're placing burdens upon people, whereas Jesus has come to teach with a message of freedom, to bring freedom to the people. Now, Jesus also frees someone who is possessed by a demon. But it's interesting, the demon recognizes Jesus, but he responds with fear. You're the Holy One of God. What are you going to do to us? You know, and it's a response not of faith, but of fear. And, you know, in life, we never want fear to dictate our life. You know, we don't want to fear losing our job, and so we try to do all kinds of things to make the boss happy with us, or we are afraid we might lose our house, and so we do all kinds of things to secure that. We want to operate out of love. Love has to be our way of life. And also, especially in faith, you know, we have nothing to fear about God. We actually ought to fear ourselves more than God. And so we can always approach God with an open heart. But really, this healing that Jesus does is the reminder that Jesus Christ has overcome all evil. This is the beginning of overcoming evil. And as he mentions, you know, take heart, I have overcome the world. In other words, I have overcome all hostility. You know, we have all kinds of things that go on in our world that are against God's love, but Jesus has taken responsibility for these things, and he's overcome them through his death and resurrection. So as we gather around the table, Lord, once again, Jesus comes with authority, but he comes with simplicity and humility to nourish us, to feed us, and really to reveal to us that he is truly with us as we journey about our day, so we can use our gifts and our talents for the service of others.